The gleaming space station hung like a silver jewel against the black velvet of space. Inside its polished halls, beings from 100 different worlds moved with purpose, their footsteps echoing off the metallic floors. Today was special. For the first time, a human would walk these halls as Earth's official representative to the Stellar Council. Jack Stone adjusted his plain black tie as he stepped off the transport ship. He was chosen for this role not because he was the smartest or the strongest, but because he had a way of making people feel at ease. His weathered face and easy smile had helped solve countless diplomatic tangles back on Earth. But this was different. This was humanity's big moment. The welcoming committee consisted of 3 aliens. The tallest, covered in shimmering red scales that caught the light, stood at the front. This was Ambassador Red Scale, representative of the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. Behind him stood 2 others, one with feathers that seemed to shift colors like oil on water, and another whose blue crystalline body sparkled under the station's lights. "Welcome to Stellar Station 1, Red Scale said through the universal translator, his voice carrying a hint of what might have been amusement. "We trust your primitive vessel served you adequately." Jack smiled, pretending not to notice the insult. "It got me here in one piece. That's all that matters, right?" The feathered alien, who introduced herself as Swiftwing, stepped forward. "Please, follow us to the council chamber. The other representatives are waiting." As they walked through the station's corridors, Jack couldn't help but notice how the other aliens stopped to stare at him. Some pointed, others whispered, and a few even backed away. He caught fragments of their conversations through his translator. "So fragile-looking. How did they even achieve spaceflight? Be careful not to bump into it. You might break it." The council chamber was a vast circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers, like an ancient Roman amphitheater. Representatives from 50 different species filled the seats, creating a living rainbow of colors, shapes, and sizes. Yet when Jack entered, a hush fell over the room. Elder Bluecrest, the crystalline being from the welcoming committee, took his place at the center podium. "Esteemed colleagues, today we welcome Earth's first representative to the Stellar Council. As per our traditions, each new species must present their credentials and demonstrate their value to the galactic community." Jack stepped forward, datapad in hand, ready to begin his presentation about Earth's achievements and potential contributions. But before he could speak, Red Scale interrupted. "Honored Elder, surely we're not going to waste time with this. Look at him. Their species hasn't even developed proper exoskeletons. They're still using internal bones, for Star's sake." Several council members chittered in what seemed to be laughter. Jack maintained his smile, though it grew a bit tighter. "Ambassador, with all due respect, appearances can be deceiving." "Deceiving?" Red Scale's scales bristled, creating a metallic scraping sound. "Your world is barely out of its industrial age. You've only achieved basic spaceflight. Your bodies are mostly water. You have no natural weapons, no armor, not even basic radiation resistance." Swiftwing raised a feathered hand. "Perhaps we should give the human a chance to." "No," Red Scale cut her off. "I've reviewed the preliminary reports. These humans are nothing but soft, weak creatures who somehow stumbled onto faster-than-light travel. They'll only drag down the council's standards." Throughout the chamber, more voices joined in agreement. Jack stood there, watching as years of preparation for this moment started crumbling around him. But he'd dealt with tough crowds before. He just needed to find the right angle, the right moment to turn this around. Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form pulsed with soft light. "Order, please. According to our laws, Earth's representative must be given a chance to speak." But as Jack opened his mouth to begin his presentation, Red Scale stepped closer, looming over him. The ambassador's scales now glowed with a faint redness, a sign of aggression in his species. "I say we save ourselves the time and send this primitive creature back to its backwater world. Who would possibly object?" In the tense silence that followed, Jack Stone realized this wasn't going to be the simple diplomatic mission he'd hoped for. Something would have to change, and soon. The tension in the council chamber could have been cut with a knife. Jack Stone stood calmly, hands clasped behind his back, as dozens of alien eyes stared at him. He cleared his throat and tried again. Members of the Stellar Council, Earth may be young compared to your civilizations, but we have much to offer. Our adaptability alone. Adaptability. Red Scale's laugh sounded like grinding metal. Your species can't even survive in space without those ridiculous protective suits. What could you possibly adapt to? Jack pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's varied environments. Our world has deserts where temperatures reach 50 degrees and poles where they drop below -60. We have deep oceans, high mountains, and everything in between. Humans live in all these places. Some council members leaned forward, showing the first signs of interest. This didn't please Red Scale at all. Party tricks, the ambassador hissed. Show us your military strength. Show us your weapons. That's what matters in this galaxy. Jack switched off the hologram. We prefer to focus on peaceful exploration and trade. Earth has rich resources. Red Scale's scales now glowed bright red. So that's your game. You want access to our trade routes. You want to steal our markets. Swiftwing stepped forward. Ambassador, please, this is not how we conduct. Silence. Red Scale's tail lashed back and forth. I've seen enough. These humans are not just weak. They're dangerous. They'll breed like parasites across the galaxy, taking what isn't theirs. Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form pulsed with warning lights. Ambassador Red Scale, you forget yourself. This is a diplomatic. But Red Scale had reached his breaking point. In one fluid motion, he pulled out a small device from his ceremonial sash. The other council members gasped. It was a personal plasma weapon, strictly forbidden in the council chamber. I'll show everyone just how fragile humans really are, Red Scale snarled. Several things happened at once. Swiftwing spread her wings in alarm. Elder Bluecrest began to glow emergency red. Security drones activated around the chamber. But they were all too slow. Red Scale fired. A bolt of blue-white plasma, hot enough to melt steel, struck Jack square in the chest. The blast knocked him back several steps, and his suit smoked where it hit. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Murder. He's killed the human. This means war. But then, something unexpected happened. Jack Stone looked down at his chest, where his suit was still smoking. He brushed off some ash with his hand, straightened his tie, and did the last thing anyone expected. He laughed. That tickled a bit, Jack said, grinning. Is that what you call a weapon around here? Back home, we give toys like that to kids for science projects. The chamber went dead silent. Red Scale's mouth hung open, his scales fading to a pale pink of shock. But that's impossible. The ambassador stuttered. That blast should have. You should be. Dead. Jack stepped forward, still smiling. Ambassador, did you know that Earth's background radiation is high enough to kill most of your species in a day? That our gravity would crush your bones? That our atmospheric pressure would make your blood boil? He walked right up to Red Scale, who was now backing away. We're not weak, Ambassador. We're not fragile. We're the species that evolved on a death world. The fact that we look soft. Jack straightened his slightly singed tie again. That's just nature's way of being funny. Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form pulsed with curious colors. Fascinating. It seems we have severely underestimated your species' resilience. Swiftwing's feathers rippled with excitement. This changes everything. The implications for the council. Red Scale had dropped his weapon and was staring at Jack like he was seeing a ghost. What are you? Jack's smile grew wider. Just a human, Ambassador. Just a human who would still like to discuss those trade agreements. If you're feeling up to it, of course. The council chamber buzzed with new energy. In one moment, everything had changed. Humanity hadn't just arrived on the galactic stage. They had made an entrance no one would ever forget. The medical bay of Stellar Station 1 looked more like a research lab than a hospital. Floating screens displayed Jack Stone's vital signs, while 3 alien doctors moved around him with various scanning devices. Their movements had grown increasingly frantic over the past hour. "Impossible," muttered the chief medical officer, a thin creature with 4 arms and gray skin. "Simply impossible." Jack sat on the examination table, still wearing his damaged suit, looking rather amused. "Doc, that's the 15th time you said that. Find something interesting." The doctor held up a cellular scan. "Your cells, they're repairing themselves. Right now, at a rate that shouldn't be possible." Elder Bluecrest and Swiftwing stood nearby, watching the proceedings with great interest. Even Red Scale lurked in the corner, his scales now a muted brown of embarrassment mixed with curiosity. "Look here," the doctor pointed at the screen. "The plasma blast damaged some of your outer skin layers, but they're already almost completely healed. And your deeper tissues, they seem to have some sort of natural radiation shield." Swiftwing stepped closer. Could this be artificial enhancement? Jack shook his head. "Nope. All natural. This is just how humans are built." The doctor's secondary arms waved in excitement. "It's not just the healing. Your bone density is off our charts. Your muscle fiber structure is incredibly efficient. And your nervous system." He paused, checking his readings again. "You can process pain signals differently than any species we've encountered. That explains why you laughed off the plasma blast." Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form sparkled with understanding. "You felt it, but it didn't register as severe damage to your system." "Pretty much," Jack agreed. "Look, where I come from, kids play in radiation levels that would kill most of your species. We drink water that would dissolve your internal organs. We live in pressure and gravity that would crush you. We had to adapt." The doctor pulled up a comparison chart. "According to our database, Earth's conditions are extreme. The radiation levels alone should make it uninhabitable. The atmospheric composition is highly corrosive. The gravity should make complex life impossible. Yet here I am." Jack spread his arms. "And there are billions more like me back home." Red Scale finally spoke from his corner. "Billions? With this level of natural resilience. And we're not even the toughest Earth species," Jack added with a grin. "Wait until you meet our tardigrades." The medical bay fell silent as the implications sank in. A species that could shrug off plasma blasts, that could heal almost instantly, that evolved on a planet that would kill most other life forms in the galaxy. Swiftwing's feathers rippled with excitement. "The Council will need to completely revise our classification of human capabilities. And our defense protocols," Red Scale muttered, earning him sharp looks from the others. The doctor saved his final readings. "From a medical perspective, humans are remarkable. Your body seems designed to survive almost anything. High impact. Your bones flex instead of breaking. Radiation. Your cells repair themselves. Poison. Your liver can process toxins that would dissolve our strongest metals. Don't forget about the adrenaline," Jack added helpfully. "That's always fun at parties." Elder Bluecrest pulsed with curiosity. "Adrenaline. Oh yeah." Jack's smile grew wider. "It's this neat little chemical our bodies produce. Makes us stronger, faster, and basically turns off our pain receptors when we need it. We can lift cars, run for days, or fight through injuries that should kill us." The doctor nearly dropped his scanner. "Your species has an internal combat enhancement system." Like I said, Jack hopped off the examination table, straightening his tie once again. "Earth is a tough neighborhood. We had to adapt." As the implications of these revelations spread through the station, one thing became clear. The galaxy's understanding of primitive species would need serious revision. Humanity hadn't just survived on their death world. They had mastered it. And now they were ready to show the galaxy what else they could do. News travels fast in space. Within 24 hours of the plasma blast incident, every species in the Stellar Council knew about the human who laughed off a weapon that could melt steel. The station's corridors, once filled with whispers of human weakness, now buzzed with very different conversations. Jack Stone found himself suddenly very popular. As he walked through the station's main promenade, aliens who had previously avoided him now tried to catch his attention. Some even asked to touch his suit where the plasma had hit, as if it were a lucky charm. "Representative Stone," called out a voice. A small group of alien diplomats hurried toward him. They represented what the Council called minor species, civilizations considered too weak or underdeveloped for full Council membership. Their leader, a gentle-looking being with transparent skin showing swirling colors beneath, bowed slightly. "I am Soft Glow of the Cloud People. We were wondering if Earth would consider a trade alliance." Before Jack could answer, more diplomats joined the group. Soon he found himself surrounded by representatives from 15 different species, all eager to form connections with Earth. From a nearby balcony, Red Scale watched the scene with growing concern. His scales had taken on a deep purple color, a sign of worry in his species. 2 other members of his faction stood with him. "This is unacceptable," Red Scale hissed. "Yesterday these humans were nothing. Now they're threatening our control of the Council." "Perhaps we should take more direct action," suggested one of his allies. "Accidents can happen in space." Red Scale's scales flashed warning red. "No, did you not see what happened in the Council chamber? Conventional weapons are useless against them." Below, Jack was handling the diplomatic attention with his usual easy charm. "Earth welcomes friendship with all species," he was saying. "We believe everyone has something valuable to contribute." This brought excited whispers from the gathered diplomats. For centuries, the Council had been dominated by species that valued military strength above all else. The idea that even small, peaceful civilizations might have worth was revolutionary. Elder Bluecrest appeared at Jack's side, his crystalline form glowing softly. "Representative Stone, the Council requests your presence. There is much to discuss about Earth's status." In the Council chamber, the atmosphere had changed dramatically from the day before. The seats were packed, with even minor species representatives allowed to attend. Jack noticed Swiftwing chatting excitedly with several previously ignored diplomats. "The Council recognizes Earth's unique qualities," Elder Bluecrest announced once everyone had settled. "We propose immediate elevation to full member status with all rights and privileges." Red Scale rose from his seat. "Objection. This is unprecedented. No species has ever bypassed the probationary period. No species has ever survived a point-blank plasma blast either," Swiftwing countered, causing ripples of laughter through the chamber. Jack raised his hand to speak. "If I may, Earth appreciates the offer, but we have conditions." The chamber went quiet. Even Red Scale looked curious. "First, all species currently classified as minor must be given fair consideration for full membership. Second, the Council's military-first policy needs revision. And third," here Jack looked directly at Red Scale, "we need to talk about sharing advanced medical technology with all member worlds." Red Scale's scales darkened further. "You dare make demands." "Not demands," Jack smiled. "Suggestions, from a species that learned the hard way that survival depends on helping each other, not fighting each other." The chamber erupted in discussion. Minor species representatives were standing, cheering. Even some of Red Scale's traditional allies looked thoughtful. Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form pulsed with approval. "The Council will consider Earth's suggestions." As the session continued, Jack caught Swiftwing's eye. She gave him what he assumed was a thumbs-up with her wing. The galaxy's power structure was shifting, and humanity had somehow ended up right in the middle of it. And somewhere on the station, in a secure communication room, Red Scale was sending urgent messages to his homeworld. The game had changed, and he needed new instructions. The station's archive room was rarely visited. Most species preferred accessing records through their neural networks. But Jack Stone liked doing things the old-fashioned way, especially after Swiftwing had quietly suggested he might find something interesting in the physical archives. He wasn't alone. Elder Bluecrest's crystalline form provided soft light as they searched through the ancient storage devices. These records go back thousands of years, Bluecrest explained. Before the Stellar Council, before even my species achieved spaceflight. Jack pulled out another data crystal. And you think there's something about Earth in here? I have suspicions. Bluecrest's glow dimmed slightly. Certain patterns in our history don't make sense. They worked in silence until Jack held up a crystal that seemed different from the others. It was darker, older, with strange markings along its surface. This one. Bluecrest's light pulsed with excitement. Yes, that's what we're looking for. When they plugged the crystal into a reader, the holographic display filled with ancient text and images. Jack's translator worked overtime trying to decode the old language. Look at this, Bluecrest pointed to an image. This is from an exploration mission over 10,000 years ago. Jack's eyes widened. The image showed a familiar blue-green planet, Earth. But that's impossible, Jack whispered. We didn't even have civilization then. Keep reading. The ancient report described a scouting mission to Earth. The aliens had observed early humans from orbit, but what caught Jack's attention was the mission's conclusion. Planet classified as extreme hazard. Native species show unprecedented survival capabilities. Recommend immediate quarantine. They found us, Jack said slowly, and they decided to stay away. Bluecrest's light flickered. Not just stay away. Look at the next page. The document showed a series of orders. Beacons placed around Earth's solar system, warning ships to avoid the area. False data uploaded to stellar maps, marking Earth's region as empty space. They didn't just find us, Bluecrest said quietly. They hid us. Just then, the archive room's door slid open. Swiftwing hurried in, her feathers ruffled with agitation. You need to see this, she said, connecting another crystal to the reader. These are communications I intercepted from Red Scale's office. New images appeared, showing secret meetings, hidden bases. The truth hit Jack like a punch to the gut. Some species had known about Earth all along. They'd been watching, waiting, making sure humans stayed isolated. But why? Jack asked. Why hide us? Fear. Swiftwing's feathers rippled. Look at these biological studies they did. They knew what humans were capable of. They knew that in time, you would master spaceflight, develop technology. They were afraid of what would happen when you joined the galactic community. So they tried to keep us out. Jack's voice hardened. All those lost years of development, of cooperation. Bluecrest pulsed softly. Not everyone agreed with this policy. Some of us have been working for centuries to change it. Why do you think I supported your membership so strongly? More pieces fell into place. The way some species had seemed prepared for humans. The quick acceptance by certain council members. Even Red Scale's extreme reaction made more sense now. We need to take this to the council, Jack said. It's not that simple, Swiftwing warned. The species behind this are powerful. They've controlled the council for thousands of years. Good thing humans are tough then, Jack smiled grimly, because this isn't just about Earth anymore. How many other species have they hidden? How many others have they held back? Bluecrest's light brightened. You're right. This goes beyond Earth. The whole council system needs to change. As they gathered the evidence, alarms suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors outside. Security breach in the archives. An automated voice announced. All areas on lockdown. Jack, Bluecrest, and Swiftwing looked at each other. Someone knew what they had found, and they weren't going to let this truth get out without a fight. The real test of human toughness was about to begin. Red emergency lights painted the archive room in crimson shadows. Jack Stone pocketed the crucial data crystals, while Swiftwing's feathers bristled with tension. Elder Blue Crest's crystalline form pulsed with warning lights. 3 security teams approaching, Swiftwing reported, her enhanced senses picking up movement in the corridors. They're not regular station security. These are Red Scale's private forces. Jack straightened his tie, a habit that now seemed to make several alien species nervous. So we got heavily armed troops coming to stop us from exposing a galaxy-wide conspiracy. Just another Tuesday on Earth. This is no time for humor. Blue Crest flickered anxiously. Those are elite warriors with advanced weapons. Then they're in for a surprise. Jack touched his communications device. Stone to Earth Fleet. Execute Protocol Sunrise. Suddenly, the station's external sensors lit up. 5 ships dropped their cloaking fields, appearing seemingly out of nowhere. They weren't the primitive vessels the Council had expected from Earth. These were sleek, advanced warships that even Red Scale's faction didn't recognize. Inside the archive room, the door burst open. Armed troops in gleaming armor poured in, weapons raised. Their leader, a tall figure with metallic skin, pointed a much larger plasma cannon at Jack. "Hand over the data crystals," the leader demanded. "Now." Jack held up his hands, still smiling. "You know, there's something else we humans are really good at besides surviving radiation and high gravity." "What's that?" the leader growled. "Playing dumb." Jack's smile grew wider. "Did you really think we didn't know about you all along? That our primitive ships couldn't detect your monitoring stations? That we didn't see your beacons and probes?" The security team shifted uneasily. Outside, alarms began blaring with a different tone. "Multiple human vessels detected," the station's AI announced. "Unknown configuration. Unknown technology." The security leader's metallic skin rippled with confusion. "Impossible. Your species is barely space-capable." "Yeah, about that." Jack lowered his hands. "We let you think that. Just like we let you think that Plasma Blast actually hurt. Just like we're letting you think those are our most advanced ships out there." Swiftwing's feathers suddenly stood on end. More ships dropping cloak. Dozens, hundreds of them. Through the archive room's viewport, space itself seemed to shimmer as vessel after vessel appeared. Not just warships, but massive carriers, research vessels, and ships of configurations no one in the Council had ever seen. "Earth has been ready for galactic contact for over 100 years, Jack explained casually. "We saw your beacons. We decoded your transmissions. We studied your technology. But we also saw how you treated weaker species. So we waited. Watched. Prepared." The security team's weapons wavered. Their leader took a step back. "The plasma weapons," Jack continued. "We developed countermeasures decades ago. Those primitive ships we showed you. Props, basically. We wanted to see who would welcome us as equals and who would try to keep us down." Elder Blue Crest's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been laughter. "You tested us. And some of you passed." Jack nodded to Blue Crest and Swiftwing. "You saw value in cooperation, in helping others grow. That's what humanity believes in." The station rocked slightly as more human ships took up defensive positions. The security team's commander finally lowered his weapon. "Stand down," he ordered his troops. "Stand down." Jack's communication device chimed. "Sir, Earth Fleet in position. The station is secured. Red Scale and his core supporters are contained." Perfect timing. Jack turned to the security team. "Now, who would like to help us reform the Stellar Council into something that works for everyone, not just the strong?" One by one, the troops lowered their weapons. In the silence that followed, everyone present realized they were watching history change. The game hadn't just changed. It had been transformed entirely, and humanity had been holding the winning cards all along. 3 months after what became known as the Archive Incident, the Stellar Station 1 looked very different. The once rigid hierarchy of the council chamber had been replaced with a circular arrangement where all species sat at the same level. Today, the chamber was packed for a historic occasion. Jack Stone stood at the center, but he wasn't alone. Next to him stood Red Scale, his scales now a calm blue color that few had seen before. Elder Blue Crest's crystalline form sparkled with approval, while Swiftwing watched from her new position as head of interspecies relations. "The reforms are complete," Jack announced to the assembled representatives. "As of today, the Stellar Council is officially reformed into the Galactic Cooperative." Cheers erupted from the chamber, especially from the formerly minor species who now held equal voting rights. Soft Glow of the Cloud People, now a full council member, glowed with happiness so bright it lit up their entire section. "Let me be the first to acknowledge our mistakes." Red Scale stepped forward, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "For too long, we judged species by their military might alone. We forgot that strength comes in many forms." Jack smiled, remembering their first hostile encounter. "Speaking of strength, how's that plasma burn healing up, Ambassador?" The chamber filled with laughter as Red Scale's scales flickered with embarrassment. During the reforms, he had volunteered to test human medical technology, specifically their advanced healing techniques. "Quite well," Red Scale admitted, touching his side where Earth doctors had helped heal an old battle wound. "Your species' medical knowledge is remarkable. Who would have thought that beings evolved to survive radiation would also learn to heal others so effectively?" Blue Crest moved to the center. "The medical exchange program has already helped thousands. Earth hospitals are teaching our doctors, while alien medical technology is being adapted for human use. Together, we're stronger." Swiftwing spread her wings in a formal gesture. "And let's not forget the cultural exchange. Earth's entertainment broadcasts are now the most popular in 3 sectors. Who knew humans could make their survival traits so funny?" "That's humanity for you," Jack grinned. "We can laugh at anything, even plasma blasts." The mood turned more serious as Jack activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Dozens of previously hidden beacons lit up, the old warning systems that had kept Earth and other species isolated. "As of today, all isolation beacons are deactivated," he announced. "Our ships are already reaching out to other hidden worlds. No more secrets, no more artificial barriers to progress." Red Scale stepped forward again. "My people will help. We know where many of the hidden worlds are. It's time we made amends. And Earth's fleet will ensure peace during the transition," Jack added. The mention of Earth's ships still made some species nervous, but now it was a nervous respect rather than fear. "Speaking of Earth's fleet," Swiftwing chimed in, "will you finally tell us how you managed to develop such advanced cloaking technology?" Jack's eyes twinkled. "Let's just say when you evolve on a death world, you get really good at hiding from predators. We just scaled it up a bit." The chamber filled with laughter again. It was a sound heard more often now in the station's halls. As the session concluded, representatives from dozens of worlds mingled freely. Former enemies shared jokes. Species once deemed too weak for council membership discussed trade deals with former powerhouses, and in one corner, a small group of newly discovered species listened in awe as Red Scale and Jack traded stories about their first meeting. "To think," Red Scale mused, sharing a drink with Jack, "all this change started because I lost my temper and shot you." "Sometimes the best things come from mistakes," Jack replied, raising his glass. "To the future." "To the future," the chamber echoed as others joined the toast. "To strength and unity." Above them, through the station's vast windows, ships of all designs moved peacefully through space. Earth vessels patrolled alongside former adversaries, their combined strength ensuring peace. And somewhere out there, other hidden worlds waited to join the new galactic family. The galaxy had changed forever, all because a human laughed at the wrong moment, or perhaps exactly the right one.